Welcome to our session. It's one of the sessions that we have, or it's a part of the sessions that we have from the Learn with Enfocus sessions. Today we will be focusing on the Enfocus product synergy, or the combination or the integration of our different products with each other. My name is Natasha. I'm product specialist for Enfocus, and I will guide you through the slides and through the session. So the session topics, we're going to take a look at all the products, not in too much detail, but just to give you an overview, the product synergy itself, and then of course the live demo. At the end, there will be question and answers as always, and it should take around 30 to 45 minutes. And this session is recorded for your future playback. All right, after that said, let's go and look into our product overview. So just a couple of our products and where we can situate them. So we have our quality control and editing, and then on the right side, our automation part. So a little bit more in detail are just one sentence extra per product. So we have our instant PDF, where we create correct PDF files or certified PDF files from within a desktop application, which could be InDesign or Quark, for example. We have our pre-flight PDF files. Well, we have our pre-flighting of our PDF files, either manually or automated by the PitStop Pro Connect or the server. And of course, all of these applications have their certified PDF library built in. There's also a certified PDF.net website where you could exchange your PDF file specifications through the web. So the PitStop Server, or the PitStop Server, is a standalone application that provides automation of pre-flighting and editing of PDF files. It is based on a hot folder, and there's also a CLI integration if you would like to use that as well. Who can use it? Well, anybody who has a need to validate and correct PDFs automatically. Could be publishers, prepress houses, digital printers, service bureaus, and so on. The key functionality of a PitStop server is the same features as a PitStop Pro, but of course you're going to use the hot folder instead of manually opening and closing your PDF document. The pricing is $3,299 US for the PitStop server application. The Pitstop Connect application, it's also a standalone application that enables document receivers to create connectors. So when we talk about a connect, you have the PitStop Connect application, and you have the connectors that are built and created with the Connect. The connector itself, it's a small application that includes the pre-flight engine and more specification related to how to pre-flight or what kind of pre-flight profile to use. If you have any action list that you would like to use, and you can also link or set it up to link to an SFTP or FTP or directly to Switch. The creative side, on the creative side, they would download the connector and then just drag and drop their files onto this connector to get them pre-flighted and delivered to the printer. You could also send other file types, so it's not only sending out PDF documents, you can also send out InDesign packages, for example, or a zip file. During the processing of the file that is done through the connector, you will receive a report on the quality of the PDF, so a pre-flight report that you have already seen in the past. The document receiver, so the person that receives the document, can brand the connector, meaning they can use their own icon or their own logo to add to the connector. They will receive the PDFs exactly how they want it, because they have set up the pre-flight profile and action list. There is also an option to sign off. More details about signing off is if you have a pre-flight profile that will say, for example, check for RGB. Just a simple example. You check for RGB, but you just want to do a regular output or a proof, then, and you don't really care about if it's an RGB output or not, then you can turn that check into a sign off. That way, if you have a certified not OK file, because there was RGB, you can still make it a certified OK file. So that functionality is also built in inside the connector. You can also, when sending to switch, include metadata fields. And like I already said, it's delivered directly to the receiver's FTP server or switch. The Connect or PitStop Connect is purchased by printers. The pricing is $4,999, and that is for the PitStop Connect. The connectors, so the little applications that you create with the Connect, has no limitation, which means you can build as many as you want and distribute them to your document creators. Then Switch, this client-server-based automation solution that works on a Mac and on a Windows, so supported on both platforms. It will help you to automate different manual and repetitive tasks, which could be the receiving and the processing and also outputting of the files. You can also integrate your third-party applications, and it will, of course, help you to save some time. For those who already been in one of our sessions will recognize this little scheme, so I will not take too much time, but we have on the left files coming in. Then on the left side from Switch, so Switch will use third-party applications and make them ready for outputs. Any file type can get into Switch. Of course, if it can be processed will depend on a crossroad partner, if that one is available or not. And of course, by using custom scripting, if you have the PowerSwitch, you can, of course, integrate almost any application that is scriptable. So 3 flavors: the light, the full, and the power. The light switch is specifically for checking of FTP servers and email accounts. You can sort your files based on a file type, naming conventions, or variables. And you can upload your files to an FTP or send out email notifications. The full switch, everything that light switch has built in. It comes with one license for a switch client. Again, the switch client is not to edit your flows, but to submit and manage jobs. So it's a separate application. And with FullSwitch, you have one user, or you can use it on one desktop. It automates third-party applications through configurators. And here's a little list of some of the configurators or partners that have a configurator in, delivered with our software. PowerSwitch, the PowerSwitch of course includes everything that has the full and the light switch has. Then on top of that, it provides advanced metadata support, so you can work with XML, JDF, and XMP documents, and it also supports scripting for extensive customization. So the language could be JavaScript, AppleScript, and VBScript, and you can create your scripts using the Switch Scripter, which is an application that comes with the PowerSwitch, so no extra license needed. This PowerSwitch comes with a 5 user license, so you can install and use Switch clients on 5 machines and then connect to your PowerSwitch server. The product synergy. So how can we see some integration here, or how can we link those products? We can look at the left side where the instant PDF is. So we start from a graphic designer, which could also be, of course, a connector, remember, and we can directly bring it to the switch, integrate directly into switch, or go, of course, remember, through an FTP server, which the instant PDF and the connect can do. And then you can see that your PitStop server can be integrated into your switch, and other applications that could be installed on the printer or the publisher side could be the PitStop Pro for manual editing, some last minute things. And the PitStop Extreme is a little bit more focused on more PDF files with advanced editing of fonts and images. So larger file sizes and a lot of font editing that you want to do into a PDF document. So the product focus, we will focus on PitStop Server, Pitstop Connect, FullSwitch, PowerSwitch. So how can we see these and in what kind of flow? So what we had in mind, or what we been working on, is with the PitStop Connect. So this is the PitStop Connect product, which would be on the printer. So the printer want to create a connector to make sure that if he receives files, that those files have already done a first check or gone through a first check. So he knows that a lot of problems will already be solved as soon as he receives the PDF document. So when we look into the Connect itself, what can we do? Well, we can see on the left side, we have options. Well, we have our list of our connectors. So the connector, what can you do if we select one and we go through the tabs? We have a definition. So what is the name of the connector, or what kind of name do we want to give it? Do we want to give it our own icon, our own company icon? So for branding, we could fill in a little title for our connector and a description that will be visible when opening up the connector. I will show that in a little bit. The pre-flight, do we want to use any action lists or pre-flight profile? So this is where we're going to set up on what will be used when processing or pre-flighting our documents. So this is the printer that decides if the PDF is pre-flighted with this specific or with my pre-flight profile, then I know that almost every problem will be fixed already before sending it out to me. And if it's not fixed, they will not be able, as you can see all the way on the bottom, you have the option to make sure if this is not enabled, that if there is an error, my file will not be able to get delivered to me. So the person will, or the document creator will have to fix the problem before he can send it out to me. Color tab, do I want to turn on color management, yes or no? If I have specific I2C profiles, then of course you want to make sure your color management is enabled. The delivery tab, where do I want to deliver my files to? Notice also on the top, allow non-PDF files. So if you want the document creator to also send out InDesign packages, for example, or zip files, then you have to make sure you enable that option. And then, of course, you have your delivery method. Where do you want to deliver your PDF file or your file to? In this case, I've set it up to deliver it to my FTP server, which is it is a local FTP server. So I've set up everything to make sure that it ends up in my FTP server. The updates tab is a way to make sure that if you as a printer, you create a connector, and you want to make sure, for example, you have a new pre-flight profile or you edit your pre-flight profile. Well, you want to make sure that the person that is using your connector, so your document creators, that they are notified as soon as you have made a change to your connector. Okay? Again, guys, I will answer your questions at the end of the session, so don't worry about it. I will definitely look into that after the session. So the update part, we want to make sure that that the person that is using the connector will get a notification if I have made a change. Okay. So after we have set up everything, we can create our connector. You can do that with the last icon in the toolbar. I have already set one up. So if I go onto my desktop, I can see here I have this little application with the icon from my company. This is an application that does not require an extra installation. It's more like you download it, and after that, after you download it, it's ready to be used. So wherever they put it, they double click it, it open up, and that is it. So this is a document creator. He has his connector ready to go. So when I now go and grab my file, there we go. So I take a file. My PDF is ready to be sent out to the printer. I drag and drop it onto the connector. And as you can see, immediately the connector starts pre-flighting my file and will give me an overview of the status, or give me information about the status, if it was successfully processed or not. We can see it was successfully processed, so I can send it out to my FTP server. That's it. The document creator does not have to do more than this. Now, when we go to the printer side, the printer side does have a little flow setup in Switch where we're going to check that specific folder for new files. We will route according to our file type. So PDF files will go this direction and will get PDF into their hierarchy information, and other file types will go through the other folder. In that way, we will end up with a folder structure where the PDFs will end up into our PDF folder and the other files will end up in our other folder. So this would be one way of interacting. Why would we want to do this and not use like my second flow? It could be because you want to make sure that you always go through an FTP server and not directly into Switch. For example, there's other solutions like a Switch proxy that can help you there, so there's not a direct link from outside into your Switch flow. But that would be a reason to use it as we have set it up right now. So the connector sends it to the FTP, and my Switch checks the FTP server. Okay. So what if we would now go into our connector? So I can close this one. That's done. And I go into my connector and you say, you know, I would like to change my delivery and I would like to send it to Switch. So I will also gonna allow non-PDF files. I say my server, which is in my case, my local host. The user information. Which information is this? Well, if we go into our Switch and we go to our users tab, this is the user that we will find. Well, I have created the Switch. So it's the user called Switch and it's inside the group Switch, which you can see on the left side. You can create groups that only have access to certain submit points and checkpoints. So that is what we will be filling in inside our connector. So I fill in my user, I fill in my password, I click on the refresh button to make sure that I have the submit point available in my list. So I say, okay, I want the file to come directly into this specific submit point. And I want to make sure that they do fill in my password, which I will email later on, just to make sure that they know what they're doing so they can fill in the password. What we do now is we're gonna recreate this specific connector. So I click on the button to create. I'm getting an information message saying that my color management is disabled. Continue. Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm gonna put it on my desktop. It does already exist, I know, so please just override my connector. While this is while this connector is being created, I would like to go to my second flow. This is of course a little bit more difficult or complicated than we had in our first one, but do not focus on how many folders and elements we have. Just focus on the fact that our files would come in through the submit point. We have forced some metadata fields to be entered. So as soon as you will see that later on when I use the connector, I will have to fill in some metadata. PDF files will go, zip files will go this direction. Other files will go into this folder and then sorted out by file type and then get turned into a PDF. PDF files will be pre-flagged, and also some the information that was filled in or selected by the submitter will also be used to automatically use the correct profile to pre-flag the document with. So it's dynamically. You don't have to fill it in yourself. Switch will know or will look into what somebody had submitted and use that to pre-flag our file. Okay. Then also an amount of copies will be made, also depending on what you have answered during your submission. So this is the flow. Like I said, don't worry too much about how many elements and stuff. Just remember that files coming in, decisions are made, and depending on those decisions, pre-flight will be done accordingly. So when we go back, our connector is being created, being added to our FTP server. I will, in the meantime, already look at the questions. We have some time. Oh, I see Michael has been helping me out here. I can see that, but that's a good thing. Because I know Dan has some questions, so this is the place to be to get them answered. Okay, so I see Michael, you helping out Dan in the meantime. So I will go back, as in the meantime my connector has been created. So when I now go and I click on the same connector, remember the printer with the icon of my company, I double click again to open up my connector. And as you can see here immediately, remember that I changed from FTP to Switch, and I'm getting a notification that there is a newer version available for this connector. So I say OK or close, and my new settings have been downloaded to this connector. So instead of sending it to my FTP, it will send it to my Switch. So again, I take my job, drag and drop it into my connector, and as you can see, if you remember, I have set my connector so that they do have to fill in my password. So I fill in the password, and immediately I also get my metadata fields. If we are sending our files directly to an FTP, then this will not be a part of it. If we use a submit point to link our connector to our flow, then these kind of fields can be added so that the submitter has to fill in some information. So I fill in some information. As you can see, here is the output color or black and white. So this, depending on what I will choose here, will be, my file will be processed depending on this selection. Same thing for the number of copies. How many copies do I want to create? And depending on this selection, that is what we will use in Switch. As soon as I fill in this information, it will be a part of the job ticket inside Switch. Our file has been processed successfully. We send it out to our switch. And if we go back to our switch, we should see that our PDF is ready to get pre-flighted. So again, depending on what I have selected in my submission, that is what will be used, or that's how the file will be processed. So remember that I also set up to allow non-PDF files. So for example, let's say I want them to send me the original document. So we send out the zip file. We say sent. Again, I have to fill in my name, my company, my email address, as the metadata fields are for any job that comes into that submit point. We leave it on color, we leave 100 copies. We say okay. And the file is being uploaded. And as you can already see, our InDesign is starting up because our file was recognized through this connection, and InDesign will grab the file and process it and create a PDF document out of it. Also notice I did not mention it specifically, but of course the pre-flighting is done with the PitStop Server, which would be the other integration of our product into our switch. So files can come in through the Connect either directly on the FTP server, and then Switch can process them, or you can bring them in through a submit point, require some metadata fields, and then add that metadata field information in a job ticket and use it for further processing. Okay. So I hope that makes a little bit of, or that gives you a little bit of an idea how you can bring the products together or use them together and why it would make sense.